I always tell my husband I'm in the business of making women cry, like happy tears. They say, oh my gosh, like, is that me? Not that they don't feel like they look like themselves, but they've never had a proper portrait taken of themselves. If you have a backup plan, it's not your passion.
Welcome to the Success Stories Vodcast, brought to you by the Next Level Photographers. Why vodcast? Because sometimes you want to listen and sometimes you want to watch. Plus, I get to share my guests' amazing portrait and boudoir work. I'm your host, Dina Mandy, and I'm happy to bring you stories of photographers who are using my campaign method to supercharge their marketing and create meaningful shoots centered around a theme. This method allows them to not only connect deeply with their clients about a shared passion, but also to fill their calendars, their bank accounts, and their hearts. I am here today with Kelley Norcia of Kelley Norcia Photography from Clinton, Connecticut. She's on the shores of Connecticut over there. I was looking at pictures of your town. It looks like it's beautiful.
It really is. It's a whole string. So Clinton is only about 18,000 people, but all of the towns that are along the shoreline, it's just a string of little towns like that. And each one is really unique. So it's a really great place to live. Good restaurants, great shopping. We're only 2 hours from New York City by train. So.
Oh, wow. Do you go to the city often?
I try to go a couple of times a year. But it's great to just hop up right on the train and head right into Grand Central.
Yeah, how fun. That's so great. Yeah. How long have you lived there in that area?
In Clinton, I've been in Connecticut for, since the 90s. But I've lived in Clinton for 5 years, I think. This will be our 6th year. So
where did you live before?
I lived in the Mystic area, which is east.
It's the town of Mystic Pizza with
yes.
Julie. What was her name? Julia
Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Yes. If you go into Mystic Pizza, they play Mystic Pizza on their TV like 24/7. It just loops continually.
That is so kitschy and fun. I love it. That's so cute.
Yep.
Cool. Well, so tell me, when is your story one of those where you picked up a camera when you were like 5 or?
Like 12, but yeah, I've had a camera in my hand for a long time. My first camera was a little Nikon FE2. And I still have it. I still have it in my studio with a couple of lenses that I just never use. One of these days, the shutter's actually broken on it, so I need to get it fixed. But one of these days, I want to try and I'd like to get it fixed and start shooting film again. I think it would be really cool.
I know. I've been wanting to do that too. I have a couple old film cameras, and it just is such a different feel and look, and even no matter what filter or plug-in we try to apply for a film look, it's just not the same, right? So I know I totally want to do that as well. Okay, so when you were 12-year-old Kelley and you picked up your camera, what were you shooting?
Oh my gosh, the thing I was really drawn to was textures. I loved textures. I loved vanishing points. I loved having balance. I don't know, composition just kind of came naturally to me. Like I look back on my pictures and, sift through them and I think, actually I did have a good eye even back then before I started. But it's funny, the first ever photography class that I took, he sent us out to take a roll of 12. And I took it in town and I got it developed, and not realizing that we were going to do the whole darkroom thing. So I came in the next class, I had my pictures already developed, and he was like, no, we're actually going to do this in the darkroom. So I had to go back out and shoot. So it was funny.
Was that a high school class?
It was, yes, high school.
Wow. Yeah. How fun.
And then I didn't pick up a digital camera until I got married and had a kid. So, when I had my daughter, I did a little bit of photography, but not a ton. I wish I had those years back with her so I could do more now that I know better, how to compose and how to light and all that stuff. But And because I put photography down for a long time, and then I just got re-inspired one day and went and I picked up a D90, Nikon D90, and started shooting that. I had a little kit lens and just started doing that. That was in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided that once I knew I was going to start getting more serious about it, I decided to upgrade my camera too. And then I got a D800 and I've been shooting with that forever until I got the Canon,
Yeah.
the R, and that's been like, that's just blowing my mind.
Let me give everybody a little context. So I totally forgot to introduce myself. Like I introduced you, but I'm Dina. If you don't know me, I am the founder of the Next Level Photographers, which is a group on Facebook. And I teach classes. I teach classes on marketing and list building, group management, growing your group, and basically creating an entire movement around your photography. So you're not just building a portrait studio, you are building fans and followers and a movement around your work. And so I had this 5-day challenge last September, and I got this wild hair where I was like, I'm gonna give away a Canon R. And Kelley won the drawing. She won the camera. It was awesome.
I wish you could have heard me screaming when you pulled my name out, because I'm like, I never win this stuff. So I'm just hanging back on my couch and you're like, Kelley, and I'm like, oh my God. I just started freaking out. It's such a fun camera.
It's amazing, isn't it? And then of course I had to get my own after. So yeah.
You must love it too.
It's pretty awesome. And also, can I just say, I mean, as I'm 58 this year, so the older I get, the less I like holding the Mark IV with the big heavy lens. You know, it's like I want something a little bit more manageable and lighter.
Yeah.
What was your first paid work? Like who were your first clients? How did you start making money?
In about 2014, 2013 or so, I actually started learning pet photography. And so from like 2012 to 2014, I really focused on like pet photography. And I had some people that I knew that wanted them to, they were like, oh, can you, photograph, my dog? And so I would get people in the picture, but it's funny because I really didn't like photographing people. It's not because I didn't like doing it. I was intimidated by it. I didn't know how to light them. I didn't know how to posing was like, I don't know what to do. And those were my first, paying jobs. And that was cool. But then I discovered Sue Bryce and saw her by chance. I bought a class from like Clickin' Moms or something, and she was like a guest speaker. Cool. Or the keynote speaker. And I just was like, oh my gosh, who is this person? And looked up her work and saw that she had a whole education site. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I want to shoot like her. Yeah. And so I just became a sponge. And, and you pick up other people as other things as you learn from, like Felix does amazing lighting. So I've been, learning from him the other thing I do is I also teach. I'm a teacher. I'm a full-time teacher. I teach 5th grade. I've been teaching for 17 years. And as a teacher, full-time jobs. What's that?
You have 2 full-time jobs then.
I really do, because teaching is definitely not a 9-to-5 thing. So the goal is that when I decide to retire from teaching, this will be like this, I'm going to be doing this full time. So I'm really starting to ramp up my business and, wanting to land more bookings and really get a name for myself and, really shoot what I love to shoot.
Mm-hmm. And really build. So between the pets, and by the way, when you say pets, were you shooting cats, dogs?
Was it dogs mostly?
Dogs. And
I did one cat once and I was like, this is crazy.
You can't tell cats what to do.
No, thank you.
Were you shooting the dogs with their owners?
Was that, yeah,
Sometimes, or with the kids. Yeah.
with the kids? Oh, how cute.
Yeah, and I did some volunteering at the Connecticut Humane Society. So, because they would always need pictures of the,
Oh,
adoptees that would come in.
the rescue.
And so
Oh,
I would do that. And that I really loved,
yeah.
being able to give back. I did that for a couple of years. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that is awesome. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So did you just decide to stop shooting pets completely, or did you,
I did.
or you
I-
got better at posing women?
I did. I got better at posing women. And in 2015, I really went legit with my business. Like I went to the state, I got my number, my tax and all that stuff. And, started opening, I wanted to open up, a home studio.
Mhm.
So when we moved to Clinton, the layout of the downstairs of my house was naturally led itself to an in-home studio. My husband's a contractor. He does carpentry. So we talked about how to reconfigure part of the downstairs. And so I basically, I woke up one morning, I was like, what do you think if I took over the dining room? And so we did. We moved the stuff out of the dining room and it became my shooting space. And it's literally like a 10 by 10 with barely 8-foot ceiling wall, 8-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
And then adjacent to that, I have sliding doors. And then that's the other side is where we would do hair and makeup for women. And that's where I do my editing and things like that. And I stayed in this space for up until this year. This past December, we finally moved my studio out to the barn on our property. So it was an existing barn when we bought the house. The upstairs was basically studs and spiders. And we just had a vision to dormer it out, and it's become probably at least twice as big. And I've got nice 9-foot ceilings now, so I can do that Vanity Fair light over the top. And
oh, that's so. Did your husband have to do a ton of work to the barn to renovate?
We did almost all of it ourselves.
You did.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And are you saying insulation and wallboard and the whole thing?
Everything.
Oh wow.
Everything. Yeah.
So
nice windows, put in a whole bank of 6 windows on the west side of the house. It's sort of northwest.
Yeah.
But I just love having my studio on my property because it's just I can go out there in my PJs and tidy things up and not have to drive. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a nice place.
So it's just a few steps from your home?
It is.
Ah, what a dream. It just sounds like such a dreamy. Okay, we're getting a comment from Capu. She's like, how awesome to build a business from the dining room. Can we see photos of your barn? Yes, we will.
Yes.
You'll have to drop some photos in the Next Level Photographers group.
I absolutely will.
Do you have any before and after?
I've been working on that. I do have a lot of befores. I need to take more. We were moving in a lot of stuff, so I was trying to get things in place before I took the afters. But this weekend, I'm going to get out there and take some afters now. So
that is so awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let's go back and visit Brenda's studio goals. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go back and visit your first paying clients. So you were shooting women, families. You were doing a lot of family, right?
I did. I started out doing some on location stuff. And then when I would do families in the studio, I was really doing as much natural light as possible, not necessarily with families, but with single women or with kids and stuff, only because, and my husband bought me an Ellen Chrome light and it sat in the box for a year.
Oh no.
Because I was just intimidated by it. I just was I don't even know how to set it up, and it doesn't come with a manual to how to set it up. You got to figure it out. And
I think I bought that same light.
They need to work on that. But I was really intimidated by it. And then I bought Felix's lighting class and I was just blown away by how simple it was. And so I'm like, all right, let me get this thing out of the box. And so I did. And over time, with a lot of other things, it's just practice and playing with it and trial and error. Okay, the shadows are too harsh. let's change the light, let's change the power,
Yeah.
the position. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know what, I think a lot of photographers can relate to that. I
Yeah.
bought, there's a photographer who's in my town here in Paso Robles, California, named Lindsay Hahn. I don't know if she's here. I think she's in our group. I'm not sure. But she had a pro photo kit that was really old, and she had it on Craigslist for sale. So I bought it from her and
Right.
brought it home and looked at it. And one of the things she said was, okay, make sure that you release the power before you unplug it, because you could blow your hand off. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Now, if I were intimidated by actually just using it, that's one thing. But now being intimidated about not blowing my hand off was
Right.
a scary thing.
It's scary.
So I know
Yeah.
it is. Off-camera flash is so mysterious until you just start playing around with it, and then it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But one of my first paying clients actually in the studio was, I don't think she was the first, but she was within probably 6 months or so of doing it. And I really wanted to photograph some ballerinas. And I knew a mom actually from my school whose daughters did ballet. And one of them I taught, and as a little second grader. Now she's in high school. And they took ballet, and they both did point, and they came and we did some images. And I remember it was the first time that I had started doing reveals, like digital reveals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still at a point where I wasn't totally comfortable saying my prices, and I wasn't totally comfortable with like accepting the money for something that I had done.
Yeah.
That equal exchange.
Yes.
And I remember they were sitting and they were looking at the pictures, and I don't remember exactly how many pictures. I think I had shown them like 25 pictures. I had narrowed it down to like 25 pictures. Now I show a lot more, and they were talking, and I couldn't get a real read on them. And the mother turns to me and she's like, we'll take them all. And I was like, okay. And that was a $4,000 sale at the time. And I was just blown away that I could earn that kind of money in a sitting.
Yes.
And that they loved my work. It was such a confidence booster for me, and really injected me with a lot of sort of gumption to just keep going. And there's been little pivot points every so often where someone comes along and they're just like, I love, they become almost like an ambassador for you,
Yes. And you never know which client is, which of your next clients is going to be that. I know a lot of the photographers that I work with, and they start working with me, and then they start getting overwhelmed with inquiries. And I'm like, just answer that phone, because every phone call is $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or more.
Right.
Yeah. I pick up my phone and I'm like, hi. Hi, money. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, new client. Or you never know who's going to be your new BFF too.
It's true.
So
That's
fun.
true.
Yeah. So well, let's talk about your pricing for a minute. So when you first started, like what were you charging, and how did you feel about it?
Well, my lowest package, which was a group of, I think, 6 or 8 images. I've been kind of all over the board with my pricing, but I was never a shoot and burn photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I really got that from both Sue Bryce and Megan DePiro, actually, too.
Mm-hmm.
They really hammered home the idea that, you need to charge what you're worth, and you need to charge an industry standard. Yeah. And so I started out charging right out of the gate, like $250 per image. And, my lowest package was $900.
Yeah.
And I held that pricing for a while, for a couple of years, and then I increased it. So my lowest package right now is $1,490, which is for 8
How
images.
did that feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
When you first did it, how did that feel?
Scary. Yeah. Because you're always worried that someone's going to be like, who do you think you are charging? Because we're always so critical of our own work, like, because we see all the flaws, but, clients don't necessarily see with the same eye that we see it. And so I think, I know what I can do better the next time I try to shoot that pose.
Yeah.
They're just thrilled with their images. And
Yeah.
so it feels good to be able to earn a living, but honestly, I love it so much that I would do it for free. It's a passion. Like, it's really become a passion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the big secret, is like, what do they say? If you love your work, then you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah.
If you love what you do. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like work to me. It really doesn't. I love all the parts of it. I like the planning, when I do a consultation with a client, I love the wardrobe planning, talking about hair and makeup, really designing their shoot. I like showering them with as much attention and hand holding as they feel like they need.
Sure.
So that when they come for their shoot, they don't feel intimidated. They don't feel nervous.
Yeah.
They feel like they are coming into a safe space. And that's important to me, to make sure that they feel cared for.
Yeah. Well, walk me through, what does it look like when somebody approaches you for a shoot? Pretend I'm a new client. How do you present your offer, or how do you describe what you are going to have them experience?
Yeah. So, typically I'll get someone that calls, or they'll send me an email. And, I get on the phone. I usually try to call them right away, because I try to not let too much time go by, because they're excited enough to reach out. It's important for me to get back to them in a timely manner, even if I'm really, really busy.
Yeah.
And so I really just start with, I try to listen a lot, and really hear what it is that they need, what do they want, and try to design, to have them understand that I'm here to give them what it is that they want. Like, I'm doing a 50 over 50 campaign right now, which has been huge success. And every time I get a woman on the phone, they all have different stories. And they all want, I always say to them, how do you want to see yourself in images? And so they all have different answers. Some of them feel like they haven't been able to really get in touch with who they are as a person, because they're middle-aged, and their body has changed, and they've been taking care of everybody else for so long that they have forgotten how to take care of themselves. And so I really try to just ask connecting questions with them, to just hear their story. Why, their why is really important to me. Why are you doing this? Because every person's different. Some have lost a ton of weight. Some have just gone through a divorce. Some are celebrating, a birthday. Some want to bring in their granddaughter and their daughter, and, extend it into, a family shoot. Yeah. And those are really my favorites, to do those multi-generational pictures.
Serving women over 50 is such a joy, because they all have survived something, right? You don't live that many decades without having gone through something or come out the other side of something.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that I see so much, they love having the confidence, like they love to experience some newfound beauty confidence. But at the same time, they all have, when I ask them, what's the best thing about being this age? They all say, I don't care anymore, or I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. And so it's like it's a different flavor of confidence that they have. Yeah.
Yeah, when we talk about retouching after the fact, most of the women in the 50 over 50 have said, oh, you know what? You don't even nip and tuck, and even though you can, she's like, this is who I am, and I think, more power to you, because I don't know that I would be quite there yet, but and I've met so many amazing, like, this first group of 50 women has been like, they're incredible.
Yeah, tell me about some of the stories you've heard.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've had a woman come in with, who was battling MS. So she came in, and, she was so thankful to, and she brought her granddaughter in, and her daughter came as well. And she was really hoping that, we knew that the granddaughter, who was about 4 at the time, she came in with her grandmother, and we had such a good time with her. She actually brought in a little stuffed bear. And the daughter feels like was feeling really not feeling self-confident at all. In fact, we didn't even plan to have her get into the pictures at all.
Oh.
But my client said to me, if you can like see if she'll warm up to the idea, because she hates having her picture taken. And Tracy, my hair and makeup artist, mentioned to her, she's like, well, how about you it was just sort of spur of the moment. She's like, well, how about you come and just sit in the chair? She goes, you can get in there with them. And she's like, okay. And we were all like holding our breath, like, oh my gosh. And she did. She had Tracy just kind of, you know, primped her up a little bit, and we got in, and it was one of the pictures that they bought. And she actually loved the way she looked in that picture. And I was so excited that someone who was feeling, you know, really scared and intimidated by having their picture taken would, that I could deliver on that. So, but I've had amazing, you know, I've had another woman come in who makes, she has a site called Moo Moo Bears, and she makes bears that are, she wraps them, she makes like little, pieces of cloth from someone that maybe they've lost, or, and creates these bears and puts a little heart on them. And it's really sweet. So she actually brought one of her bears that she made for her son who had passed away. Oh, boy. His name is Robbie. And so we took a portrait with one of the bears that she made. Oh, yeah. And then there's been women who have just had incredible survival stories. You know, I have another woman who, you know, a couple of women who, you know, escaped out of really abusive relationships and were really doing this to find themselves again and feel, you know, get that confidence back. So it just really runs the gamut.
So are you doing printed reveals, or are you doing digital reveals?
I for the past year or so, maybe 2, have done digital reveals. I did printed when I first started. And I decided to go digital, and I probably will stick with digital.
So are you showing them pretty large then?
Yeah, I have a big monitor that I, you know, like a 27-inch you know, Mac. And so I bring them up nice and big on the screen, and I take them through a process of, you know, whittling down to the ones they can't live without.
So what do your clients say when they see your pictures?
So I always tell my husband I'm in the business of making women cry, like happy tears. I've had a lot of women who, you know, they say, oh my gosh, like, is that me? You know, not that they don't feel like they look like themselves, but they've never had a proper portrait taken of themselves. You know, with proper lighting and good posing and, you know, hair and makeup that is camera ready, which is not like everyday makeup.
Not the same.
And so they are really, you know, they cry because they are just happy to finally love themselves in a picture. And it's just, that's just the icing on the cake for me, is when I can have that reaction. Yeah, to know that I've given them something that they're going to pass down to their kids or their grandkids. So
that is the best feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It really warms my heart. It really does.
We take so many pictures on our phone, and you know, we live in an age where we are photographed more than we ever have been, and yet, you know, those aren't going to be the ones that you pass down, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Too many things are living on the screen. You know, too many images, I feel like, live on the screen, and people don't print. And I when my clients purchase, they get the digital file along with a printed. It's an 8x10 in a actually it's a 5x7 in an 8x10 white mat. Right. So they can, I do portfolio boxes, so they can, you know, put them in the portfolio box and, you know, have them as a keepsake. I do wall art as well. So
that's great. So have you been selling more and more wall art? I'm loving these samples behind you in your Zoom.
Oh, thank you.
Zoom background.
Thank you.
They're stunning. Is this from the same family?
Yes, those are twins, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. they were high school seniors about 2 years ago. They came in, and yeah, they were super fun.
Awesome.
But wall art is definitely something I want to do more of.
Yeah.
It just depends on, how people want to enjoy their images. That's why I try to offer different things, but it really makes my heart happy when I can sell wall art, because I know that it's going to take up real estate on their walls. And like decorating your home with that kind of love, I think is so important, particularly for little kids.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for the kids to see good portraits of themselves, that know that there's a value there. My parents value having a printed image. It doesn't have to be on the wall. It can be, it can even be a desk print. I have clients that can't afford wall art.
Sure.
So offering people a variety of different things at different price points I feel like is important too, so that they can have those to enjoy for a long time.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So getting back to your 50 over 50 ladies again, how you are going to do a gallery style celebration at the end, or a magazine, or what have you planned?
Yeah, well, I originally, when I first started doing the 50 over 50, so I had bought your secret sauce, and which was life-changing, Dina. I bought it back in like the very beginning of the year and started running my Facebook ad. Because before that, my marketing, being a teacher, like it was hard for me to get out and go to networking meetings, because all the networking meetings were, at 9 o'clock, and like I'm teaching reading at 9, and so, getting out and going to networking meetings was really hard. And I was looking for another way to get people in the door. And so ran across your work and decided to purchase the secret sauce. And I started running my ad at the beginning of February. And then within probably a week and a half to 2 weeks, I had about 25 women booked already.
Wow.
And those are the ones that booked. And I had other people that were just sort of wanted more information, tire kicker, kind of things, which you're going to get some of that anyway.
Sure.
But in 2 weeks, I had 25 people booked, and I was like, holy smokes, this is incredible. And so then I was like, I got to get organized, because if I don't find a way to organize all these women, I'm going to lose track of who do I need to call and everything. Like, I had never been so busy in my whole life. And I had booked out my entire spring.
Yeah.
And then we had to shut down in March. COVID. I was like, oh my gosh, now what?
Yeah.
And so then it was a wait and see game. And then as we made it through the spring, and our state said, okay, for phase 2, you can open back up, and it'll be, it was like middle of June or so. It was like the 20th of June. So I called all the women up and I said, hey, we're going to move your session to the summer. So all those women who were booked in the spring got moved to the summer. And so my summer was just rocking. I mean, I was doing like 3 to 4 shoots a week, and it was incredible. It was incredible. So, and then when school started up again, I had to obviously, only shoot weekends. So I was a little bit more limited on how much I could shoot. But eventually, getting back to your question, eventually I would like to do a gallery style exhibition. And I would say probably realistically, it probably won't happen until the fall. I really would like to do it the right way, when we've got more people vaccinated. People are not afraid to gather in groups. I actually want to find a red carpet and put it out for the women. But I really picture it as like a thing, I want it to be kind of a soiree type of a thing. I want to get dressed up. I want the women to feel like they, are excited to come and see their images. And I want food being passed out and champagne. And I really want these women to be pampered.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have something to look forward to. That's and I think that's a smart thing to do, to wait for a bit. I think with the campaign strategy and the whole marketing of this, it's kind of easy to continue the energy and continue the excitement throughout the year. And
Yes.
they're fine waiting. Like that's what I've found, at least for my clients. Like when they know that something is coming, but it's down the road, they're totally fine being a part of it now or booking way in the future. Or, I mean, there's something kind of magic about the campaign strategy that is a very specific niche and a cohesive theme that allows them to kind of keep that momentum going.
Totally. And I think that they are just so excited to be a part of a tribe of women.
Yes.
And, I have a VIP Facebook group and, I'm trying to, keep them interested and engaged and all of that. And that's super fun. I keep it light. I share images. We do little fun polls. I'm going to be doing a giveaway at some point. They really wanted to see more behind the scenes things. I think there's people in there there are people in there who I have not photographed, but they're curious. And so showing them the process and helping them see, really what's involved, I think is super important. But I think the proof, like you have said, like the proof is in the pudding. Like when I do round 2 of this, which I fully anticipate doing, probably starting up to gain interest in round 2 pretty soon. I think that once they see just how successful and how exciting it can be, you want some of that, I want what she's got.
I know.
Yeah.
Definitely. We got a good question here. What's your average sale?
My average sale is 2,300.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's really because I sell this 50 over 50 campaign has really, most of the women really love the window portfolio box because it acts like a living frame. Yeah. And I get them from 3XM. Okay. They actually have bags that will come with them. So it's like they give you everything and gloves, and they have really beautiful they're wood boxes now. So they come in a couple of different colors. Yeah. It does give it such another level of luxury to have really nice products to offer. It does. Store and display the photos and when you're able to give so much value to somebody and then they receive it well, it's so easy then to turn around and sell it more. The other thing I love about this whole campaign is that when you get busy, you get better at what you do, right? It's like practice makes perfect. So absolutely. Having multiple consultation calls a week or multiple shoots a week or multiple reveals a week, then you get better and better and better at each stage with practice, right? Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the secret sauce. So yes. What were you doing for marketing when you first started? Well, marketing was limited to when I could get to a networking meeting, which was hard for me because of, I wasn't doing this full time. And, I would do ads in some like local like blog type things, but I was really struggling with how do I get my work out there so people have me on their radar, at least even if they don't want to book yet. I'm not even on your radar. Right. So that was super important, and I did not know a thing about how to put an ad together for Facebook. Like I was gonna say, had you tried Facebook ads before at all? I had tried boosting. And then I realized a lot of people were telling me, oh, well, if you're really going to pay for something, like do a full on ad. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do that. Yeah. So that was like Greek to me. So when I bought the secret sauce, you just laid everything out for me and it was just plug and play. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure for people who haven't worked with me or I haven't mentored or coached, how easy was it to go through the steps when you first got it? Oh my God. Yeah. Super easy. It's very prescriptive because it's a formula that works. Yeah. I've never had this much traction. And now the beautiful thing of it is that you start to get, now it's become word of mouth. Oh yeah, I heard you were doing something like my friend said that they had a friend that did shoot with you, and tell me more about that. So now it's like it's like this web that starts, you got one person who decides to book with you, and then she tells 3 friends. It's like that hair commercial. Remember that hair commercial? I'm dating myself, and she told 2 friends and she told 2 friends, but it's really true, because they tell their friends when they've had a really good experience, and particularly when they love their images,
Yes.
they want to share that. And so I have friends of friends that are coming, who are getting referred, and that just continues to grow the network. And then I think once we've had the exhibit, and then they can invite people to actually see the work and see all the fuss, then I think it's going to be even.
My inquiries blew up. I mean, they've blown up anyway with having the campaign. And also, as you would probably agree, the Facebook ads are kind of the tip of the iceberg. It's just a teeny tiny piece of the overall puzzle, or the overall, it's a spice in the secret sauce. It's a spice, but it's not the whole sauce.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I know, it's so fun. So I don't know about you, but like for me, I cannot imagine running a profitable portrait or boudoir studio without some sort of campaign strategy.
I agree.
Especially if you're in the first several years, when people don't know you and you don't have that word of mouth or that client base to provide recommends. Like I struggled for 3 years before I figured this out. And then it's like, now that okay, now I know you're super excited about this. Now that you know how a campaign strategy works and how the promotion and marketing and all of the puzzle pieces come together, now you can apply it to any idea.
Yeah, I know. And you and I have had conversations.
I know.
Where I'm like, Dina, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and you're like, well, you can do it all. But I would love to do some, I would love to build a portfolio for some maternity. I would love to do that. And I really want to work in, at some point,
the teens, right? Didn't you?
I feel so, having been a 4th and 5th grade teacher for so long, I see these girls are, 9 and 10 years old. Some are 11 by the time they leave 5th grade. And already they're starting to get this sense of liking or not liking their body. And it kills me to see it, because they're still babies, and I would love to do some sort of a campaign. I haven't figured this out. It's still percolating in my brain. But I really want to reach out to these tweens and pre-tweens that are not feeling confident about themselves, or are starting to have body issues, and just show them their beauty, because they are. And somewhere between 9 and 14, something gets twisted up the wrong way for them. And I want to be that person, or one of the people in their life that shows them back how beautiful they really are. I've done a couple of campaigns for the school that I work at. And I did some photographing of some of the kids, and we did an exhibit. We've done 2 exhibits at the school with a theme. And the parents will come in and they say, oh my gosh, I've never seen this expression in a picture of my child. There's something really soulful about this picture, and that just makes my heart happy. And photographing kids is really one of my favorite things too.
Yeah.
My favorite subject, really, to photograph.
That could be such an important gift that you could give,
Yeah, it's
amazing. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I love that. So let me ask you just really quick, if anybody listening is on the fence about working with me, or checking out the secret sauce, or applying this campaign strategy to their studio, what would you say to anybody who's on the fence?
Buy it. Do it, buy it, do it now. It's literally changed the trajectory of my business. Yeah. I was headed this way, and then the secret sauce came along, and I was like, oh. And then it was almost like the whole highway opened up, with all the exits, and it was just, literally changed my business. Like I've had the best year in a pandemic year of 2020, of what a year this was. I've had the best year that I've ever had in my business.
Yeah.
Ever. And I'm only shooting part-time.
I love that. I think so many of the photographers in our group, there's a group who feel the same, like they have had the best year ever, which I'm so grateful that I've been able to help and kind of show a way of marketing that actually works, that's consistent, that's predictable. And what was I going to say? So also, would you say it's given you confidence in your marketing for your portrait studio, for just understanding how it all works and how it comes together?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you learn, like, I like being a sponge and trying to learn as much as I can about, like, I know I love to photograph people, but I also need to know how to do the business end of it as well. Yeah. And so getting organized and, thinking about all the pieces that need to be in place from a business standpoint is something that I've continued to learn through doing this campaign. What do my emails need to look like and sound like? How do I need to be on the phone? How am I collecting, the money? What products do I really want to offer? Seeing what's working and what's not working. Yeah. I think you have to be in business being ready to pivot. I mean, if you had told me, when I started teaching 17 years ago, that 17 years later, you're going to be an entrepreneur who is, on the cusp of doing this full time, like I would have been like, okay, no.
and making more and probably double.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is if I stop teaching, I probably would double my salary. So, and that's to do that and have it be something that you are really passionate about is crazy. I was watching Shark Tank yesterday, and Mark Cuban said something really, really interesting. He said, there's 2 rules in business. The first rule is whatever you do, make it your passion. And the second rule is if you have a backup plan, it's not your passion. And I was like, wow. Okay. Make a note. Yeah.
Well, the future sounds good. Possibly eventually doubling the salary and also filling your heart, right?
Yeah.
I always say that the secret sauce keeps my calendar full, my bank account full, and my heart full, because when you're able to give this to so many people, the gift of seeing themselves in a new way is so powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.